Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Assistant Advantage YouTube channel. And today I am interviewing another one of my interns turned team member, Carrie. And she has been my intern. She was my intern a couple of interns ago. So in the past, I would say 6 or 8 months. And then recently, I asked her to join the team. And so she is going to be doing that. She is from or lives now in Georgia, and she's going to tell you just a little bit more about herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for offering this time to talk about what it was like to work with you as an intern. I have a very strong administrative support background. I call it my previous life before I had children and I was married. I worked in the federal government and was always in supportive roles, which I loved. I just love being part of a team and supporting everybody in the back end. And then once I started a family, I homeschooled for many years. I'm homeschooling my last child in the nest. And that was a special time for me because I was able to fulfill different things that I feel like I missed in my own education. I read books that I always wanted to read and never did. And during that time, blogging became very popular.
Yes.
So I got immersed in that world. I think I designed about a dozen blogs over the years and just really enjoyed learning. That was one of my favorite things about homeschooling was just learning as much or more than my kids. And unfortunately went through a breakup of a marriage. So floundered a bit in trying to discover what I wanted to do in this next phase of my life. And so in that time period, I looked into different things, different ways that I could still have a flexible schedule, but
Right.
also have an ability to earn some income.
Absolutely. It seems like a lot of our team members have the homeschooling piece in common. I have that for my baby of my family as well. He will be a senior in the fall, but he's finishing up in homeschooling this year and this coming year. And that's what makes this ability to work in this career and have the flexibility so special for us as moms. So I always say that that was my why from the beginning was my children. It started out that was the reason that I wanted to work from home. What in the beginning of this led you to apply for this internship, and how was your experience?
I consider it providential, actually. I was in a low part of trying to build a business, and it kept me very solitary, being like what they call a solopreneur
Yeah.
and having only virtual interactions with people. I was in a low place, and I just happened to see your intern opportunity in a Facebook group.
Yeah.
And I thought, I just want to get my hands dirty. I just want to do some work. And I jumped at it, and I'm just so glad and blessed that I did.
That's awesome. I didn't remember that, so that's really cool. And tell us about how you evolved from then being an intern to a team member.
Let's see, everything I did, and it's really cool. I was thinking about this earlier. Everything that you opened up and allowed me to do in your business just was like reigniting these sparks and fanning these old flames that I just hadn't really looked at for years.
Wow.
And when you complimented me to the team, your existing team at the time, about the job that I was doing, I was like, oh my goodness, I hope that I have the opportunity to become a team member. And I loved having the collaboration. I had missed that being off on my own for so long. I really missed being part of a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I've wanted to have one for so long is because I knew that you get that feeling there, and it's you don't get that when you work by yourself. And I've worked by myself a long time and also worked in the midst of that in the middle of those years when I was working, I went back and worked in a school setting for a few years. And that was the one thing I loved the most about working at the school was my coworkers. So I knew when I came back that was something I was going to lose really quickly. And so always had the goal of having a team for that purpose. I've worked on several teams. I did that in order to learn what the team, how to manage a team and that kind of stuff. And that was my favorite piece too, was we always had a Slack channel that we could communicate on, and it helped me feel like I had coworkers and
Yes.
I had people to talk to. So that was really fun. And one of the things that I share here in these interviews is each of the team members seems to have their own unique set of skills. And you were talking about how those were sparked in you. You already have those skills. Those were things that you brought to the table that make you special and set apart from the other team members. For you, for example, you have a lot of copywriting skills, and nobody else on the team has that skill set. So that was important to me. And that's why I try to get team members that have their own unique set of skills. And I encourage when people come to me wanting to start their VA business, I encourage them to find something that they already have a skill set in. And most people say, I don't have any skills. And I always challenge that, because I always say, yes, you do. You have marketable skills. You just got to find them. Absolutely have to find them.
Yes.
So let's turn now to the course, the Virtual Assistant Advantage course that you took. How did that course help prepare you for this role?
Let's see, I was trying to think of a concise way to say it. But I think my favorite thing about a virtual assistant course is feeling empowered and knowing that I have the ability.
Yeah.
I think that is like my absolute favorite. And like you said, finding what skills you already possess. And especially, even a bonus is finding those skills that excite you,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
good at, and just really hone in on those. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do an exercise in the course for anyone that's never taken it, where you have this list of all these possible skills, and it's 300 things on this list. And then you go down through that list and you mark things you can do. And when I say you can, you have the ability to do them. But then you go back and you mark the things that not only can you do it, but you enjoy doing it.
Yes.
Because there's a lot you can do, but if you've ever listened to any of my videos or podcasts or anything, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
So true.
Because you can get burned out on those things you don't really enjoy doing. And I did a lot of that in the early days of my business. And so that's when I decided, hey, I'm going to give the advice that you should do things not only you can do, but you enjoy doing. So
Yes.
where that
So
came from. Tell us a little bit about how you've grown over the time period that, so since you started working as the intern and moved into the team.
Yeah, so like I said before, I was in a slump when I found out about your internship. And when I started working for you, what I loved about being your intern is you trusted me. And that trust allowed me to show a little bit of my creativity and be a little more creative and free to
Oh,
create,
yeah, yeah.
which I completely appreciated. And I'll never forget when you complimented me, and I can't remember which blog post it was that I was helping you with, but I was nervous. I was nervous. I'm like, what is she gonna think? Are are the changes I made okay? And you were just happy. And
Yeah,
I don't even think you had anything to change. And I went over the moon. And
yeah.
it just re-energized me. And it just made me want to do more to help you in your business.
Yeah, I've always said, and I learned this early on when I had interns, was I was talking to, I've always had a business coach over the years. And this particular business coach was a man. I've not really had that many male business coaches, but his name was David. He was a man. And I can remember was struggling with this new intern that I had. And the advice that he gave me was to be her cheerleader. He said, your role is to be her cheerleader. So you have to make her feel good about herself, and then she'll do her job to the best of her ability. And so I really took that and ran with it. And that was probably, I started internships in 2011. And I think this internship was in 2012. So it wasn't long after I'd just gotten started. And I took that advice, and ever since I'm like, okay, I am to cheer this person on. they're helping me, and that's my way of helping them. And so that's how I approach this relationship, is to be their cheerleader. And so many of those relationships have turned into more than that, like friendships. I talk a lot about Trisha. Trisha is my accountability partner. She was a former intern of mine. She is one of my closest friends, and I've never met her in real life.
Oh, very
So
cool.
we're working on that. She lives in Ohio and I live in Mississippi. So we're working on that, but we Voxer on a regular basis. But one of the things that I like to share too, I don't know if I've ever shared this in one of these videos, is when I put out a call for interns and I put out the application, I usually get, I don't know, the last one I did, I got 14 applications. I go through and I go to all their profiles and all the things, and then I pray about it. And I'm like, okay, who am I supposed to interview? And I usually interview 1 to 3 people. And then God just tells me which one I'm supposed to pick. Sometimes that means picking the person that doesn't seem as qualified. Sometimes that means it varies. And sometimes I go with what I feel like he's telling me to do, and it always seems to work out. So it's my process if people are curious about that. But that would be what I do, and that would be how I've taken advice from somebody. So let's talk about advice. What would you say you would give a woman advice about looking to start a career as a virtual assistant?
I think one of the things I would suggest is be open to learning things and never stop being open to learning new things. Everything changes so quickly technology-wise. That would be one of my suggestions. Also is again going back to what we've mentioned before, what are some skills you already possess? What do you really enjoy doing? And not don't be afraid to share yourself, share about yourself, share what you love doing. There's so much, and I've seen it so much where people get caught in imposter syndrome or they get scared. And we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And don't get caught. Just stay in your lane and stay focused and don't give up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. Where do you see yourself in the future then? What do you have next in your plans?
What do I have next? I'm very excited to be on your team. So that's, of course, very exciting for me because I'm able to continue to hone my copywriting skill. The best way to keep that skill strong is to just keep writing. So I'm really excited about the
Absolutely.
opportunity. And I'm going to circle back to my previous life where it was my finance roots. And I'm going to circle back and I'm going to get certified as a bookkeeper and tax preparer because
Oh,
I'm the type where I put lots of sticks in the fire. So I try to keep my little passions all ignited thanks to your internship. It's just gotten me really excited about my
you can
future.
write and do math. I'm very impressed. I can only write. I'm not good at math. Oh, man,
Oh,
that's
that's so funny.
okay. And then my final question then is, what one surprising thing have you learned about yourself since becoming a virtual assistant?
I hope it doesn't sound corny, but it gave me belief in myself again.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
I'm going to be okay and I'm capable and I can do this and do it well. And
yeah,
I can do things for
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
We all need that little boost every
Yes.
once in a while. I myself do. Sometimes I get to where I think, what am I doing and why am I
Yes.
here? So we all need that. So thank you so much for taking the time. And I'm so excited that you are going to continue and be on the team. But thanks for taking your time today to be on this video.
Thank you.